YouTube, what is up? James MTG Biggie here, and I thought today I would do, another episode of what I've called previously Missed Triggers, where I just talk about a bunch of topics in the Magic community with my YouTube channel, things happening, what I'm doing with Magic, and whatever right now at the moment. And obviously, I've already made one video about the Christine Sprankle, Jeremy, Unsleeved Media situation. And unfortunately, between then and now, more stuff has happened. More people have spoken their piece about it. More opinions have come out about it. And Jeremy from Unsleeved Media has continued to make more and more content and more reply videos, and the thing has kind of blown up more and more, not really out of control because I feel it's sort of in control, but it continues on and on and on, and unfortunately we are still kind of in the ever-growing funk of this whole situation. And then there was some tangential other things that I didn't mention in my previous video about it that I'm also going to mention here, so hold tight for that. Beyond that, I'm going to talk about not standard, modern. I played a little bit of modern recently. Actually Thursday evening I went 3-1 and had a good time playing modern. I always have a good time playing Modern, though. That's not that new. And I'm going to go over, some stuff with the channel and things in general and things to look out for. So, without further ado, Missed Triggers, Episode 3 is what we're calling it. So, obviously, if you jump on YouTube and search Christine Sprankle, MTG Headquarters, you could see just a bombardment of reaction videos, of mostly videos from Jeremy himself, and it's just an ongoing thing. The further it goes, the more Jeremy replies, and every reply video he makes is basically the exact same sentiment and the exact same video over and over and over again. And to his credit, let's see, this one entitled The Moral High Ground is Hollow from 4 days ago, it's 29,000 views, so that's a decent amount of views. He's getting views for it, so people are watching and looking on at all sides of this to see what is happening and to hear everybody's input. The Professor, his video has 174,000 views on it, and I understand he didn't monetize that video and he's not making that YouTube revenue from it, and that's fine, but the entire situation is still one that I find kind of fascinating, unfortunately, to see the back and forth, and it just seems like the more Jeremy speaks, the more the dude, though he denies it, puts his foot in his mouth. And the more he, tries to force himself to be the dude taking the free speech, stop the censorship, allow people to speak their mind or to have a varying different opinion from the majority of the community. And I do agree with that sentiment, but he's trying to hide behind it, and I don't think that it comes off disingenuous. At the end of the day, making the same video twice a day for the last week on multiple channels of his is really just let's lean into this as much as we can, and while I'm making YouTube revenue, and while I have Patreon supporters and supporters to my channel that subscribe, let's lean into it and get these views. Not that I think he's actually trying to make money on the whole situation, but I feel like he's going to, more so than if he left it alone. So that's the gist of what I'll say about it. For the most part, I know Magic Mike's podcast had basically an entire episode, well over an hour long, that broke it down like event by event, moment by moment, and explained it very clearly, and I believe objectively enough, obviously the host of that show, of that podcast, Evan Irwin, Ruben Bresser, Aaron Campbell, stand on the side of defending Christine Sprankle, which I feel is correct. Like, supporting somebody who feels bullied is going to go a lot further than trying to mask being a dick in this whole, well, I'm looking out for the community and trying to end censorship and allowing people to have contrarian opinions. That just, like I said, doesn't feel like the stance you want to take when at the end of the day somebody is still hurt in the whole situation. Christine Sprankle is still like having to have gone through having felt bad about what she does, and that's shitty, and the whole situation is shitty. So I think Magic Mike's did a good job of covering it and of explaining it and of trying to be like decent enough to try to think of how they would feel if they were in Jeremy's shoes. And it's hard to take sides with that guy, or hard to fucking empathize, because it's just like you're leaning into being the bad guy, and even though there's a contingency of folks that think you're the good guy, like, the great majority paints you the villain, and you're trying to flip the script and be the hero in the story. And the harder you try, the less likely it seems like you're going to be. So there was that, and in the light of all of this, Travis Wu, who is a pro Magic player who I feel like also tends to get himself into controversies. The story goes as follows. I don't have the actual tweet pulled up, but Emma Handy, another name in the Magic community, pulled up some screenshots from this group that Travis Wu started on Facebook. Basically made for memes and comedy and edgy posting, and the group itself had some unsavory words spoken and some ridiculousness happening, and it was a couple unfortunate threads in that group that were screen captured and posted that Travis, I don't think, was involved in directly, but he did kind of give them the platform to post these things. And what it was 9 pictures of various women in the Magic community, and basically asking, like, pack one, pick one, based solely on, I guess, looks, and solely on whether or not you would engage in sexual activity with whichever of these females in the Magic community. Like, basically, for lack of better terms and for lack of better language, which one of these females would you bang? And it's a bad look. And there was a lot of people that commented on it and a conversation, and it got a little out of control and a little ridiculous. And that got made public on Twitter. So now, Team Metagame Gurus, after this had come out and Travis made a bunch of videos on his YouTube, posted on Twitter that they're separating ways from Travis, and essentially, putting it nicely, they're terminating, or putting it not as nicely as they did, they're terminating Travis and kicking him off the team. And then that is met with various, like, praise and opposition, like, you guys screwed up, like, good choice, whatever, on both sides. And, unfortunately for Travis, he seems to get himself in these situations where he is often that dude. Like, when you hear about somebody posting something like, oh, we have to get this person away from our brand, 9 out of 10 times it feels like it's Travis Wu. Same thing with Channel Fireball. Everybody knows that story. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but they separated ways from him or suspended him indefinitely from Channel Fireball for some previous issue with his stream. Look that up. Just type in Travis Wu stream and you'll find it in YouTube. And again, here with Metagame Gurus. And it kind of felt like Travis was on track to sort of... He was making up for some of his past mistakes. And he seemed to be doing well and successful not only with the community of Magic, but also professionally. He was doing really well in tournaments, having high finishes in various Grand Prix and Pro Tours, and he was on track to get on the train, and he may still be, unless there's some reason that unless they find fit to ban him for some reason related to this. But it feels like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I think Travis Wu is genuinely a fairly interesting dude. I know he often, puts his foot in his mouth as well. But he feels like more of a likable or interesting dude than Jeremy. And like a dude that, you just, I kind of want to root for that guy. I want to root for Travis to be, redeemed and to be successful and to have people on his side because he's such an interesting cat. And unfortunately, he got himself in some shit, and some people decided to step away from him and separate him from their brand. And I get it. It is what it is. It's all in the interest of maintaining the integrity of your brand and not trying to be involved with somebody who people are obviously going to be bothered by. And that's unfortunate for Travis. It's unfortunate for the people that were involved in the post in the group that Travis created, although he wasn't directly involved in that post as far as I can tell. And from his videos, he claimed, he created the group and then kind of left it in the hands of those who were moderating it other than himself, and it got a little bananas and out of control. And it is what it is. I hope that Twoo at some point or another it feels like that dude seems to fly better solo, and he's a good Magic player and a hell of a brewer, and will be successful in playing the game itself as at a pro high level. Hopefully he can become successful in being a productive, respected member of the community that doesn't rub people the wrong way the way he tends to. So that's unfortunate, but that's what happened. All of this in the same sort of breath as the MTG headquarters Christine Sprankle stuff. It's beginning to be quite a bit. I know Unstable comes out next week, and very few people are talking about that anymore. Although I don't get too excited for the unsets. When I was playing Magic previously, before I quit for so many years, Unglued was the only unset that existed, and it was interesting and funny, and that was about as far as it went. It wasn't ever anything that anybody that plays Magic competitively or desires to play Magic competitively really cares for. But it's interesting. It's cool that it exists. So that's coming out. and nobody's talking about it. Iconic Masters came out, and people are sort of talking about it, but not that much. So this whole thing is kind of overshadowed. Also, Wizards of the Coast, they made a statement about Jeremy, and they were investigating and looking into the whole situation. And as of right now, we don't know if a ban will be issued, but everybody suspects there will be a DCI ban on Jeremy's DCI number, and that he won't be able to play in any sanctioned events. So who knows where that's going to go? We haven't heard anything yet. But it's just a wait and see, and hopefully that's the final bit we hear of this, and the Magic community can bounce back and move forward with some semblance of positivity, and hopefully the figures and the folks who were hurt or spoken about negatively or had some sort of stress brought upon them by this whole situation bounce back and either return to the game or move forward with whatever they were doing and focus more on the good things, because I think there are a lot more good things about Magic than bad, and good things about the community than bad. And hopefully this is the last I say about it. Unless there's some other breaking news or anything, I'm going to leave it alone. So we'll clear off these topics here. Beyond that, the YouTube channel is going pretty well. I know I've been on I was on kind of a roll there for a minute with all the videos, and then I kind of stepped back, got a little busy, had a few weeks off. I'm going to try to utilize some time in December around the holidays to continue to make videos as they come. I'm kind of awaiting the Rivals of Ixalan spoiler season to start, so I could talk about some of the cards and analyze some different deck ideas, and eventually make some deck techs for you guys and get to play with some of the new cards. I have my fingers crossed really, really hard for Merfolk to become a factor in Standard. I think it's really close. It's just on the cusp of being a real deck, and hopefully we get to play with some Silvergill Adepts and some Branch Walkers and Cumena Speakers, and we get a decent Lord or some sort of big kind of incentive to play Merfolk in Standard. Beyond that, I'm still looking to try to play some more PPTQs and try to at least grind one a month. I can't afford to take the time off of work to go to one every week or weekend. But I think one a month is reasonable for me at this point of the year. And the reason being, I take off Sundays for them. And Sundays are sort of a hit and miss sort of thing. At work, I'm either extremely busy on Sundays or I just kind of hang out and don't do much. So if I can cut down one Sunday a month from work to go play Magic, then the other 3 Sundays I hope will pick up the slack, and I will have 3 busy Sundays and 1 Sunday where I'm not there. And hopefully every PPTQ I go to, I get to do better than the previous. And I kind of, in my second PPTQ ever, made the top 4. So there's only one way to go, or 2 steps up from that. I gotta make the finals and then hopefully win one. As far as deck choice goes, I still like my standard deck, blue-white cycling. I think the deck's very good. I think I gotta work on the blue-white gift, God Pharaoh's Gift deck matchup, and shore up that matchup, but I think all my other matchups are pretty solid. The Teamer matchup feels great. The Control Mirror feels pretty good, because generally I put a good clock on my opponent early in the game for a control deck, and the other matchups feel pretty good. So that's that. Beyond that, I played some Modern, like I said at the beginning of the show here. I played Black-White Eldrazi Taxes, and I went 3-1. I played against Burn. I defeated Burn. It was really weird, awkward games against Burn. I kept a 5-card no-land hand and won a game against Burn, which is amazing to me. My opponent stumbled with 1 land. He had 1 land and a Goblin Guide, and I took some hits and was able to draw into some more lands with the help of Goblin Guide. And before my opponent could draw out of lands, I was able to stick like a Leonin Arbiter and Ghost Quarter my opponent, and then just slam down Thought-Knot Seer and win the game. I played against Infect, and I beat Infect fairly easily. It seemed really, really good to have flicker and blink effects at instant speed with Eldrazi Displacer and Flicker Wisp, as well as, decent removal with Path to Exile, and I get to board in a couple Fatal Pushes. So that worked out pretty well, and you get a lot of blockers on the ground. So I pretty much focused on killing the Blighted Agents with my Path to Exiles and Fatal Pushes, and just blocking and blinking the Glistener Elves as much as possible. So I won that match 2-1, and then I played against Elves, in fact, I won 2-0. Against Elves, I won 2-1. He was on the combo with Vizier of Remedies and Devoted Druid, making infinite mana to either Walking Ballista you or to overrun you multiple times with Azuri, and I was able to kind of just grind him out. The game that he won was close. I was close to stabilizing. He just had more resources than I did, and I flooded a little. The third game, I just kind of steamrolled him. I kept a hand with 2 Eldrazi Temples, an Aether Vial, and a Thought-Knot, and then the rest of my hand was like Thalia, Flicker Wisp, and something else. Some white cards, some of the Death and Taxes pieces to the deck. And I was like, well, I have the turn 1 Vial, so I'm going to be able to Vial in some dudes. And I have the turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer. So if I don't draw another land and I draw the turn 2 Thought-Knot into any other land and I can cast my spells, I'm going to be way ahead. It turns out I happened to draw more lands, and I ended up just steamrolling my opponent really fast. It was kind of like the nuttiest nut draw I could have had, and it was really a lot of fun. My loss was 0-2 to Jeskai Control with Nahiri Emrakul combo, and game 1, I had to grind through a bunch of removal and eventually lost. Game 2, I had Thought-Knot on turn 3, I had not Thought-Knot, Tide Hollow on turn 2, and I Tide Hollow my opponent, and he shows me 3 Path to Exiles, a Wrath of God, and a Snapcaster Mage in his hand. So I tried to slog through all of that, but I just couldn't make it through, and my opponent removed every threat I had, and then eventually stuck in Nahiri and won the game by Emrakuling me to death. So that was it. It was a tough match. I feel like there are cases where I can win that matchup, but the draws didn't end up working out in my favor, and they really worked in my opponent's favor. That being said, I don't think the black-white Eldrazi and Taxes version of the deck is as good as mono-white Death and Taxes. And the reason being is the issue of consistency. I don't like playing 3-color decks, and black and white Eldrazi and Taxes is a 3-color deck. For all intents and purposes, it is a colorless white and black deck, and you have to prioritize mana for all 3 of those colors, and a lot of the time you'll draw the colorless end of your deck and be able to cast your Thought-Knot Seers, but sit and look at your Flicker Wisp and your Death and Taxes pieces in your hand and not be able to cast them. Or vice versa, where you have the Death and Taxes draw, but you can't reliably cast your Thought-Knot Seer on curve, or you can't activate your Eldrazi Displacer, or you'll have like the awkward draw where you can cast your colorless dudes and you have the colorless dudes, but you can't cast your Path to Exiles on time or when you need to, and the deck feels awkward. With mono white, you get to curve out from like either Vial or Thraben Inspector or both into Thalia, into Blade Splicers, into Flicker Wisp, into Restos, and you get to do that whole trick, and you get to play very much on curve, and you get to play consistent mana bases, which is very important, even though that deck sacrifices a lot of its own lands with Ghost Quarters and Tectonic Edge. It's still really good and really consistent, and it feels like on the power level, the individual pieces are less powerful, but more consistent, and I generally like to give up a little bit of power for a lot of consistency. Thought-Knot Seer is a hell of a Magic card, but the ability to reliably cast everything in my deck is more important to me than having just objectively better cards. So I might go back to mono white. I might play something different. I might play mono white Tron more. I don't know. I have some options for modern. I would like to play blue-green Merfolk. I just need to pick up the green pieces. So beyond that, I look forward to experimenting more on modern. The format's really good right now, and I look forward to playing more of it as much as I can, and more Magic in general all around. I actually have had the urge to draft a little bit more lately. I hear some pretty negative things about Ixalan draft, so maybe I'll wait until Rivals so I could do the Rivals and Ixalan draft. I don't know. I'm not usually a big draft or a limited guy, but whenever I play it, I do okay. So I don't know if it's just that I'm decent enough at understanding and reading a draft while I'm in it to do well, or if I'm just a good drafter that just never drafts. I don't know. I don't like to think of myself as a good drafter. I would much rather play constructed 9 times out of 10. But I think I have the ability to have fun drafting. So looking forward to doing all of that and more. So that's all I've got today. I think we've gone on a little bit long, and I'm sure that those of you who stuck with me till the end, I owe you guys high fives all around. Thank you for that. And I'll talk to you guys again very soon. Like I said, this has been Missed Triggers, and hopefully the next time you hear from me, it's with some more positive stuff than negativity. But I'll talk to you guys again soon, and click down below. I'll link a couple other videos. Subscribe up in the corner over there. You'll see a cartoon of my face. Click that, subscribe. You sign up to see some more videos. Totally free. And let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I enjoy the conversation with all of you, and look forward to hearing what you guys think. I will talk to you guys again soon, and that's it. See you later.